Welcome to or welcome back to Founders and Jeans. I'm your host, Emily Jean. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It means the world to me. It is a really special. I also wanted to say that if you enjoy the show, feel free to leave a review on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to this, and also to follow us. You can follow us on Spotify, of course. You can follow us on Instagram at Founders and Jeans. You can also find me on Instagram at emily.jeans, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect with people on there, and I have a lot of good conversations from listeners. Also, you can always leave a bad review for us. I'm totally fine with that. And in fact, I think that's exciting. I would love to know what we can do to improve. So you can also leave comments below and let me know what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. I actually do read every single one. We also have a newsletter that comes out once a week, so you can get all the updates from us. We also put in some weekly business and marketing updates in there, as well as some personal notes from me. You can subscribe to that on my LinkedIn, also through the Instagram and in the show notes below. Anyways, that is all from me. I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. I hope it's a good one, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye. Veniard. Welcome to Founders and Jeans. I am so excited to have you today. Thank you so much for joining me. For people who have not heard of you yet, can you give a little bit of a background about yourself in your own words?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Coro Foods. We're a company, we make salami and pepperoni that's really unique in our category. We're really trying to bring something new and delicious. And I'll tell you a little bit about our founding story, but so it's all about like really uniquely delicious flavors made with all natural ingredients. We do everything in-house in our own manufacturing facility in Washington State. And people love us because we're just trying to do everything in a different way than what you typically see in salami and pepperoni. My background, I mean, I'm a little bit from all over. Families from Argentina originally Italian, like a lot of people in Argentina, and I kind of grew up all over the place. But always had a passion for food and started actually my first job was I had a catering business making Argentine food. So that passion has led me through many places but ultimately led me to this really exciting journey that I'm currently on of making salami with Coro.
I am so excited about this because I think you are one of our first guests that has a food focused business, which really has my heart. Like, all I want to do is talk about food. So, this is like so exciting for me. I guess I want to start all the way and go all the way back to the beginning. What drew you specifically to salami and kind of that cured meats as a business?
It was partially a personal, like something I loved. I mean, I love food. I love salami. I'm from Argentina. I grew up eating salami my whole life, and it's something I've always really loved. But also it was really a great opportunity. And it was partially a great opportunity because here's a category I love, and I'd look at it and I'd be like, God, this is crazy. We've been making salami and pepperoni for millennia, and it's all so boring. And so I just was like, there's so much opportunity here. And then I had I sort of got introduced. I was a huge fan of this deli in Seattle. That was making really delicious salami, and they were making a salami that was a Mexican mole inspired salami with cocoa and cinnamon, and I love that mole. And I got to befriend the owners of that deli, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Here's something that I get really excited about. And when I look at what's going on in salami, like there's nobody's doing anything like this. And so that was really the seed that became Coro. The owners of the deli were looking to retire. It's called Salumi. I still run it in Seattle. We're still there. And so they were looking to retire, and they basically passed it on to me, so that and I was super excited because I was like, here there was already something here, a product that they were making that I was really excited about, and I could see this opportunity in a category that just had so much white space. So it was a little bit the opportunity of the deli, what I saw in the category, then my personal passion for food and salami that came together to become Coro.
I love this. I think some people are going to be listening to this and be thinking like salami and cured meats sounds a little unromantic. Like, but I think you managed to take kind of this traditional craft and really create something modern. What's been your thought process in like approaching that? Do you align at all with that stigma or have you heard that? Like, where are you sitting with that?
Oh, I mean, so many people are like, "Oh, you started a brand in salami?" Like,
Yeah.
never think about that. But what about snacks and beverages? And
Hmm.
I'm like, "Hey, I'm not someone who I don't like to follow the crowd.
Yeah.
I like to pursue where I feel like there's something I can get really excited about
Hmm.
and where I can feel." And I think the other thing is where I feel like there's a product I'm super excited about that I personally really love, but then also where I feel like I can really make the biggest difference. And I think that's one of the things about salami that's so exciting is that it is such an old school category that I feel like we have a chance with Coro to really show that things can be done very differently and to
Hmm.
really disrupt and change the way that things work in the entire category in a way that we couldn't in another food category where everybody is chasing after new opportunities. What does it mean to do something different in salami? And for me, that there's so many things that I think we can bring to the category that can really change it. Part of it is, okay, we're doing this like brand that people love with delicious flavors and bringing that innovation. But I think even beyond that, there's this focus that we have on ingredient quality and how do we make salami that's all natural, all our pork is humanely raised, and how do we continue to push the envelope and prove that we can make even better salami than has ever been made in terms of ingredients. The
Mm.
second thing is in terms of the quality of our processes, and I think that I have an opportunity to disrupt the entire category and to change the way the category makes things by through the Coro example. And then finally, there's even I mean, part of the one of the things I love about having our own manufacturing facility, and we make everything 100% in-house. We don't use co-packers for any step of the process. And what that means is I can build an environment that I can be really proud about. Um, People are like, "Wait, salami, that's such an unusual category to get into." Well, I'm excited because I feel like with Coro, we can change the way the industry works on all these different levers from the flavor from the to the ingredients to the quality to the food safety processes to even the way that we treat our employees in our manufacturing facility.
Of this. I think also you're reminding me once this very successful CEO told me that like the kind of unglamorous businesses of the world are often the most successful. And she was talking more in terms of like car washes and laundromats and those sort of things. But it definitely applies in this case too, a little bit. And I love that. I think that's brilliant. Also, you've managed to take so much of your passion and creativity for that and package it up in a new way that it makes it exciting and interesting again. I want to zoom out a little bit and ask you, as we've seen so many kind of modern drink companies and different food companies and things like that come up in today's food world, is there something specific that you think makes a product truly unforgettable and kind of can outdo that competition?
Oh, I mean, gosh, there's so many ways to answer that. I think ultimately the way to be unforgettable is in the food world is to really understand who you are and what makes you different. And that can then be reflected. If you sort of stay true to that, you can really differentiate yourself and stand out. And that's different for every company. For some companies, it's their packaging, like that just really and the format and how they package the product. For other companies, it's how their ingredient that really makes them stand out because they're doing things in a way that's different than everybody else. Their flavor. I mean, there's just so it really depends. I think understanding what's your one true North Star that makes you different, and then expressing it over and over again and communicating that to consumers and staying true to that, that's what's going to make you different and stand out amongst the rest.
Right. And for founders that are also wanting to build honest, clean products similar to yours, I think a lot of startups and entrepreneurs, especially at the beginning, they want to do that and they have visions of doing that, but they're not sure how to negotiate that with cost and time, energy. How have you gone about approaching that? Is it one of those things that you do have to sacrifice on the cost front, but you're willing to make that sacrifice in the long term? Or what's your thought process there?
Yeah, I mean, it isn't always easy, unfortunately. And I think that's one of the reasons why choosing to be sort of all natural and have higher quality ingredients and really push the boundaries on that, even, is the reason it is a differentiator is because it's not always easy. And it's not just not always easy from a costing perspective, it's not always easy from a supply perspective. Because the higher your demands on ingredients, the often more limited supply that there is. So I think it's important to decide, is that something that is going to define your product and your brand and that your consumers really care about, which I think they do. And then if you decide that, then you can really it's going to take a lot more work, but I do think there are ways to make that happen and make it not as cost prohibitive. Start to build your supply chain, start to diversify your supply chain so you're not dependent on one. So for us, I decided our product has to be all natural. I'm not going to put any kind of fillers into it of any kind, even if it's more costly, and I'm going to find the suppliers that allow us to do that. And I'm going to make sure that all of the pork we use is humanely raised, vegetarian fed, and I will never go beneath that standard. And that's taken a lot of work to ensure we get the best pricing, continuously push on price, make sure we have the right supply chain and we have a diversified supply chain has taken a lot of work. Moving forward, there are more things I want to do. And so I hope to continue to elevate and raise the bar on that front. And it's just gonna take more work. But it was early on, this was a decision I had to make that these are sort of the minimum criteria around our ingredients, and we are going to have to stick to them. And once I made that choice, I could do a lot of work around supply chain and pricing to ensure that we are able to deliver on that promise.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm curious for you while considering pricing of your product, is there a feeling of, especially when you're first starting out, fear that customers won't pay for it? Because I hear from a lot of founders that they want to go premium or they want to create a more premium product, and that's their biggest concerns. People aren't going to pay for it.
That is it's a constant fear, especially early on when you're just getting started. And in order to gain confidence around our price point, two things was look a lot at the market, like what was already on shelf, where were other brands being priced. And thankfully in our category, it became very clear that there was basically a conventional price point and there was a premium price point. So it was pretty obvious where we needed to hit. And then once I understood that, I could spend time figuring out, okay, how do we get there in a way that is sustainable and is good for our bottom line and profitability metrics that we needed to hit. And so that's when we got into a lot of work and found a lot of ways to reduce price while still staying true to our ingredient requirements and all these things that we really wanted to do. But it did take a lot of work, a lot of iteration, a lot of looking at the market, a lot of looking at what things were going to cost us, and making sure that that's what kind of ultimately gave me the confidence that we were hitting the right price point without affecting our profitability. But that's the hard work. And it is always, at the end of the day, it is always a little nerve-wracking because you do always worry, like, did I hit the right price point? If I went a little lower, would it be better? But then that's going to affect my profitability, so I can't. So I did, understanding the rules and the boundaries I had to stay within was really helpful to ultimately get to a place where I could feel comfortable that we were making the best choices.
Right. And I think people hear premium and they think that means high price point product. But I think it also is cumulative of so much more than that. It's a process of experience, it's a process of customer service, all of those things. Can you talk to me a little bit about your kind of experience for the customer? And I guess beyond that, how have you been able to keep Coro human in this digital, fast moving food world that we've really entered?
Yeah, I mean, that to me, that comes in through all of our interactions with any customer that we have, whether it's a retailer we're working with, but also people who buy on our website, people who reach out via email, like shoppers and consumers. I think each and every one of those interactions is so important. And I'm a big believer that if you have a really good human connection at those little with that person that just emailed you today asking you where can they buy a gift set of salami, if you have a good interaction at that level, then word is going to spread and it's going to help you. They're going to tell their friends, and and maybe there's a little bit of karma, things are gonna come back to you. So we as a team really do a lot of work to make sure that all of our interactions with anyone outside the company, is really positive and human and shows that we care. And the way that I think the reason we've been able to maintain that even as we grow is the type of people, the culture of Coro and the type of people we attract and the type of people that succeed at Coro are the type of people that are going to really care about those human interactions, that take joy out of seeing someone be super happy, out of being a trusting partner. And, that's one of our core values as a company. And so I know that everybody in no matter what role they have, they're always having very good human relationships and interactions with people outside the company.
I think this is a kind of a core issue that many companies are facing now, but also going to continue to face in the future, especially with AI taking over all of our jobs theoretically, is like, how do we keep humans at the center of it? Do you have, I guess, kind of a prediction about the next wave of premium food brands and like what that will look like in the future?
That's I think there's there are a lot of trends that are here to stay. I think people really care, like, in particular, ingredients and how food is made is so important to people already, and I think it's only going to get more. I mean, you see that even now, people talking about, oh, is it ultra processed or, and so I mean, it's what people really care about what they put in their bodies. And so understanding how the food was made and what are the ingredients that we're going to be used, I think is a core trend today. And it's only going to continue to be that way. And the power of even all the information that we have is that all that information is at our fingertips. And the more research that is done, the more science is showing that that is an important factor in our health. And so that's even with us as the salami makers, like what we care about is I'm like, we are you know, simple ingredients, not ultra processed, things, that, ingredients that are high quality, all natural. Because I know that that's what matters to me. And that's what matters to me as I think about what like my family eats and what my kids eat and what my elderly parents eat. So I think that's a core trend that's already in place and will only continue to strengthen over time.
Yeah. I love that. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So I want to ask you some rapid fires before we wrap up.
Yes.
First question. Is there a kind of food trend that you love right now or one that you hope ends soon?
A food trend I love right now is I really I like this idea of um indulgence. And you see, I mean, I've read some stuff and they're like, well, people, sometimes there are different use cases for how they eat. And there's a use case where it's about indulgence. It's your little pleasures. I feel like life it's hard. We all have a lot on our plates. We're stretched. And to me, food is such a great source of joy. And I love this. I love the idea of a little indulgence that's easy, that gives me my little pleasure, that makes me happy, that's delicious. You know, that's actually a lot of what I see the role also of what our salami is to me. It's little indulgence as I'm making dinner and I'm like figuring out how I'm going to take my kids to their practices. I always bring out a platter of cheese and salami with some crackers, and it's like our little indulgence before the chaos of the evening. So that is something that's a trend I've seen out there in food, and I love it because it's something that I really value in my own life is these little indulgences that give me a moment to take a break and rest and enjoy something.
I love that. What a good answer. That's like so poetic and beautiful. It's not what I was expecting, but it's such a good answer. I feel like too, you saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, I can think of all these little things that like I invest in that bring me that joy in terms of food. Okay, great. Well, next question. Do you have, I guess, a founder whose storytelling, or maybe it's a brand whose branding inspires you or that you look to for guidance?
There's so many that I look at for different aspects and different sources of inspiration. One that I've been really recently kind of intrigued by, and it's not even in food, so it's a little different, is I was reading a lot about Puma's story. My daughter's really into sneakers, and so she always loves to tell me about the latest sneakers and what the sneakers styles are. And I was reading about what I think is interesting about Puma is that they had this strategy of saying, well, if the entire sneaker industry is going down one path, we're going to do something completely different as a brand. And so I like the idea of trying to, it's easy and sometimes it's more comfortable to want to do what everybody else in your category is doing and to try to think, well, how do I just do a slight adjustment versus what all the other brands in my category are doing? But I'm really finding it very inspiring to think, well, if everybody's going in one direction, how do I go in the complete opposite direction and really reinvent the wheel entirely? And I think Puma is a really great example of that.
Great. I love that. It's so interesting you say that. I love when brands make that a core part of their approach, and that's brilliant too. I haven't thought about Puma in a long time.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, wow, Puma, yeah, that's just uh-huh.
Yeah, my daughter's very obsessed with sneakers.
I love that. That's good. Okay, good. Okay, great. Okay, I'm very curious to see how you answer this question. It says, finish this. If you want to build a great product, you need to.
You need to put the product first. You can put a beautiful label on it. You can price it so that it's a great deal. You can even have a really wonderful human experience when it's being sold. But if the product itself is not good, it doesn't matter. So that is the number one thing I always say. The most important thing we do at Coro is make sure we make delicious product.
Yes. And you have very much achieved that. Very clear. Okay, last question. We ask everyone. It's one of my favorite questions. Do you have a book or a course or a resource or anything like that that you can recommend to budding entrepreneurs?
Oh my gosh. I do love to read. I am recently actually rereading Eating the Big Fish, which is about disruptive brands. Aspects of it are a little out of date. It talks about like the dot-com bubble and things, but I do think it's really interesting in terms of just showing how brands can disrupt categories, disrupt the category that they're in, and it brings examples from across every industry.
Brilliant. I've not heard that answer before. I'm gonna have to look that up. You said eating the big fish?
Yes, Eating the Big Fish, and it's written by Adam Morgan.
Adam Morgan. Okay, got it. I'm going to look that up. I love when we get unique recommendations.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Clara, thank you so, so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited we got to have you on and chat to you. Where can people find you and where can they follow you?
Oh my gosh. Well, they can follow us on Instagram at Coro Foods. And you can find us in a lot of grocery stores. So depending on the region that you're in, a lot of your natural grocery stores, some Whole Foods regions, other grocery stores as well. You can also find us on our website at corofoods.com. And then there's also some of our selection on amazon.com as well.
Okay, amazing. And that will all be linked in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited that I got to chat with you. This has been amazing.
Thanks so much, Emily.